Welcome to It's in the Ballot, the Rongotai Electorate. So, it's one of the election, which is actually a context of time. And we have, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for coming in person, all of our audience. Now we have a video to kind of introduce you to the electorate. All right. Well, this evening we are joined by the question master here, Dave Armstrong, who will be opening the boxes. We have a great number of questions here that have been submitted by viewers, and now it's time to introduce the candidates. We're starting from the end here. We have Julianne Genter from the Greens. And behind her, Merania Roa for Vision. Down the front we have Don McDonald. Behind him, Fleur Fitzsimons for Labour. And we have Bruce Welsh for New Conservatives. Emet for Animal Justice. And finally, Geoff Mills for NZ First.
Who's going to go first for the opening statements?
So we'll have the opening statements for the candidates now. Do we have any volunteers? All right.
Yep, let's go for Don.
Don it is.
Don it is. The first thing, I answered every personal email sent to me by constituents. You've heard that, well, it's not really true.
Yes, it is.
No. You've heard of 265 and a quarter days? I've Don McDonald for independent. So impossible to calculate the day of the week next month, 28, 29, etc. Awful calendar is confusion. 99% of the population probably can't remember appointments and even know their phone number. It's a bad problem. I go for 366 days, minus 6 days every 8 years, and so on. Formula 12 times 6 times 5 plus 6. 100% of months will start on Sunday the 1st. That's the cycle. We will work 4 out of 6 days, yes. No Thursday.
They haven't arrived and I haven't had an update yet.
And the dates nicely repeat. 9% of months will all be 30 days. That's easy. Identical page. December 36 days. The 8th year 30 days. The 800th year. Syncs perfectly. The Gregorian year 365.2425 exactly. The year is a tongue twister. 999. And clock more horror. 10.15 anti-meridian when you visit the dentist. 1000% friendly, social organised. I have a 1 minute speech. Well, I'm well over a minute. But anyway, I've got another one is band motto. Only self-select, only 4 lines self-select because they're stealing from poverty. And you can't win. It's so much, millions on advertising. And independent for Rongotai. And I went to Island Bay yesterday, and it went quite well.
And I think that's your minute.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, just for the candidates, when Sam holds up his hand, that's 10 seconds to go.
Not 10 seconds, 5.
5 seconds. Right. Excellent. All right. Thank you, John.
They're all given up.
Here we go.
Kia ora. Thank you all to our hosts and our online viewers, especially to It's in the Ballot. My name is Merania Roa, and I've lived here in Rongotai. My home is in Mokuia, and our family homestead is in Newlands, where my children are living at the moment. I am seeking the role as Rongotai MP. My purpose for standing is I am a people politician, not a career politician. So I carry a fresh approach to represent you, the voter. I am a faith-based politician who holds godly principles and values. I'm solution-focused to work from the grassroots, ground force, to speak on your behalf, to take your voice to Parliament. Vision New Zealand believe in sustainability, protecting our environment, and put an end to climate change overreach. We will develop our own climate change policy that encourages reduction of real measurable emissions. Then to remind ourselves that we are all equal, so no race-based policies and no to co-governance. There are many issues in Rongotai today. Party vote Freedom New Zealand, vote Roa for Rongotai.
That's good. Anyone else? Alex, Geoff.
My name is Geoff Mills. I'm standing for New Zealand First in Rongotai. My wife and I and family lived for many years in the Rongotai Electorate. We live in the Cedar Heights area. So this election, I'm standing for New Zealand First as a candidate for Rongotai, mainly in the hope of encouraging more people to give the party vote to New Zealand First. I believe that this election is the most important election in our lifetime. And I know we hear that every election, but this time I believe it really is true. I believe that this year, this election, our democracy itself is under threat. And so it's very important that everyone, by all means, give your electorate vote to my colleague, one of my colleagues here, but the party vote to New Zealand First. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to It's in the Ballot. My name is Bruce Welsh. I'm a candidate for New Conservative, but I'm actually asking for your electorate vote.
Turn yourself up.
I live in Karuna. I've done for 30 more years. Raised a family there. Been involved in the community in all sorts of ways, from committees to coaching football to coaching maths. But also I have a business that's based in Karuna too. I'm an architect with an office in Karuna and do a lot of work around the area. Going out and meeting people in their homes, talking to them, what they're trying to achieve, making a difference for those people. And that's really what I want to bring to Rongotai as an elected MP, to be able to make a difference, to bring the problem-solving skills of an architect into this electorate and solve some of the problems that we're facing. Thank you.
There's more to go.
Alex. Hold it like an ice cream cone.
And here we have Patrick.
Hi, I'm Emet. I'm your Animal Justice Party candidate for Rongotai. I accepted this nomination because the Animal Justice Party has a plan to move beyond left-right politics towards an up-down paradigm where up represents integrity and down represents opportunism. What brings us together as the Animal Justice Party is our values, such as equality, compassion, and nonviolence, and our knowledge, passion, and drive for pursuing evidence-based policies around animal agriculture and wider issues of animal exploitation, and how those issues impact governance, economics, housing, infrastructure, environmental conservation, individual human rights, and social issues. On all other issues, we're not here to pretend to be leaders who know everything. We're here to serve as representatives who are willing to listen, willing to learn, and willing to challenge our own beliefs. More than any election in New Zealand history, the only wasted votes are votes for incumbent parties.
Thank you.
Come on.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa, namihi nui ki koutou. My name's Julianne Genter. I'm standing to be the next MP for Rongotai.
No, that's Julian Genter.
Is my mic not working?
No, online for your Fleur.
Oh,
Remote editor for your Fleur, not Julianne.
right. Okay.
Yeah, and I was just telling you that.
Yeah, sorry.
Your time starts again.
Okay, great. Anyway, my name is Julianne Genter. I'm standing to be the next MP for Rongotai. I'm an experienced Green List MP, and I live up the road in Aotearoa with my 2 children and my partner. And for the last decade, I have fought for progressive change for our communities, both as an MP and as a minister. Last term, as Minister for Women and Associate Minister of Transport and Health, I managed to challenge the bureaucracy, challenge our Labour colleagues, and deliver real gains for pay equity for women in traditional and female-dominated industries, closing the gender pay gap in the public service, fought for a huge increase to funding for primary maternity and changes to lead the emissions reduction work in the transport portfolio. But Greens have not yet been in cabinet. We have the experience, we have the policies to achieve action on climate change and justice for our communities. We need more power and that major vote.
All right, now we have lucky last.
I just want to start by acknowledging Sam for putting on today's candidates debate, and also for your work in making sure that people in Newtown are cabinet on the statutory order at the Newtown
Just
market.
move that's a good shot because, yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Which is much appreciated, particularly after Good Friday night. I am standing for Rongotai as the Labour candidate, the new Labour candidate. My background is as a trade union official and a trade union lawyer. I've been involved in litigation for caring support workers to be paid while they're sleeping over, on the right to strike, on equal pay for social workers. And I also set up 26 for Babies, the campaign coalition for 26 weeks paid parental leave for our smallest members of society. I've been a Wellington City Councillor, and in that role I took local representation very seriously. I personally answered every single personal email, text message, or phone call that I received. Because I know that a local representative must advocate on behalf of people, no matter what their background or their politics. And that's the approach I will take. I have the privilege of becoming your local MP here at Rongotai. Kia ora.
Thank you. Now we've met the candidates. Let's learn a little bit about the electorate.
So let's find out where the Rongotai Electorate voters are based. Now, the Rongotai Electorate is a unique electorate. It is in 2 parts, Eastern and Southern Wellington and the Chatham Islands. Starting west of the Chatham Islands, you have the southern half of the Miramar Peninsula, including the suburbs of Strathmore and Seatoun, the northern half of the Miramar Peninsula, which includes the suburbs of Miramar, Mapuia and Karaka Bay, and includes Mount Crawford. After that, you head across Evans Bay to capture the suburbs of Rosenef and Haitara. Then you cross the town belt into Newtown, which also includes Vogeltown, Mornington, Kingston and Berhampore. Then you get to the southern part of Rongotai Electorate, which includes Houghton Bay, Aotearoa Bay, Island Bay. And you're wondering what's unique about the Rongotai Electorate? Well, it's one of the few electorates in the country that has 2 airports. Also has multiple hospitals and Wellington Zoo.
Indeed. Questions that we think that you'll be asking after tonight's show. Are Kiwis prepared to see New Zealand's residential house sales reach 30% to overseas buyers in order to have a tax cut? Perhaps. Should landlords have their rental property tax deduction linked to having a valid housing certificate of fitness, in the same way that a taxi must have a valid COF to charge fares? And now we get on to the questions. So the candidates have they have a minute to answer a question of their choosing. They don't know what's in the boxes, but they'll have a chance to find out soon. We've also given them a couple of cards. One is defer, which if you don't want to answer a question, you can give it to another candidate. And There's also a button, so
Two.
two buttons. So yes, if we have if we have people who want to expound on a point made by someone else after their answer, you can use your button card and add to that question.
So who should go first?
Yes. Let's start left to right for now. So Julie, we'll get you to pick a number.
Hold the mic up.
AB, so press the D.
Scroll right.
The technology here, we're working on it. Here we go. Julianne, what would your party do about regulating the introduction of artificial intelligence? Or we could rephrase that as, would your party regulate the introduction of artificial intelligence?
So all of the Green Party's policy is developed democratically through a consensus-based process by members, and I know that we have an expert working group in the party working on updating our policy with respect to AI. What I can say for sure is that the Greens think it's really important that new technology is not used for exploitation and that there is a role for regulation to ensure that it's delivering for our people and for our planet and not being used to profit at the expense of humans or nature. And by nature, I include non-human animals.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Mariana.
Merania, I would like to choose number 1, please.
Scrolling going on, here we go. Number of box number 1.
Don't press box number 1, just press the letter on the card. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time scrolling around.
Thank you, Sam. So we're going to press V. And Merania, in your opinion, what do you think will be the main issue that will decide this election?
Thank you for the question. For me, and especially in this electorate, the housing, there are many issues faced by our Rongotai residents. And aside from...
He did say the letter.
And south and cost of living and house, my
I
focus
think
is
it's fee, but he did say it.
All around the cost of living. So for Vision New Zealand, we want to look at checking and making sure that there are tax rebates. We've got 25k, there'll be, for the first 25,000k, there'll be no tax. We're looking at tax relief on benefits, superannuation, and also with the student loans. So the idea around all of those tax relief and tax benefits is to help put more dollars back into the home, back into the groceries. And so we believe that's what's going to address the cost of living secure.
Thank you, Merania. And we have a button card from Don. So Don, would you like to weigh in?
Can we try the button? Okay, the main issue, well, one is, it's very hard to know the 22nd of September and October. It's a different day of the week. It's a big problem because you can't really organise your social calendar. And another big issue is the Powerball. You can't win it. They don't win even a monthly one, only pay half. These are a big penalty on poverty. And it's a shame. And the main thing is the whole world has got to simplify the calendar. It will synchronise 100% with Gregorian. As you know, 365 with 2425. Tropical year, astronomical year. That's a good point. And because it's chaos. As you know, 28, 29, 30, 31 days. And July to November, don't do about the week, the whole way through. It's Sunday the 1st. Good, gone, independent.
All right. Thank you. Now, Fleur, would you like to pick a number?
Yes, 19.
Would you like me to control the screen?
I've got two cards here, but I'll just read one. Is that right, Sam?
There shouldn't be two in there, but okay.
I'll just take the top one.
What is the top one? Just make sure that it matches the graphics, because we did have an aborted show last night and the boxes may have not been properly emptied.
Okay, it's not a P. Yes, a P. It's not strong. Okay, I can't. This is not strong.
I've got it from my resource management app.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. It's working now. All good. Okay, letter B. Fleur, what is your party's position on Resource Management Act reform?
Well, just been reformed in a way that I'm very helpful with, and I think what it does is it balances protection of the environment, biodiversity, but also allowing more housing and intensification. It also has special provisions for ensuring that mana whenua are well represented in planning decisions, and it provides
P for
making
Papa.
those decisions clarity about who to speak to within mana whenua, and I know that that is a very welcome development. So I'm very comfortable with the reforms that have been undertaken, and I commend David Parker and the many people in the public service who contributed to them, and there's a huge amount of work that has gone into that.
Alex, next up will be Don.
Pardon?
Don. Next up, Don. Yeah.
Oh, so we have a button.
Oh, we've got another button.
We do
Yep.
have a button
Bruce.
for
Yep.
Okay, I'd just like to add to that my comments on the RMA reform. It has happened to a degree, or it's still in process, but to me it's going the wrong way. We started off with a fairly hefty RMA act, and now we're split into three hefty acts. So it's not getting any simpler, it's not getting any easier to understand. And really the RMA needs to be simple, needs to be understandable, and needs to be locally driven. So those principles I don't think are actually working with the RMA, with the revamp as it's happening. It's just getting more complicated and spread out, more people involved, more hierarchy to go through. If you want just older building, it's going to get harder and harder. So yeah, those principles should come through. Thank you.
And now we have Don.
I'd like to hold question number 10, please.
Question number 10.
So I don't know what it says.
Okay, Z. Showing my age. Z. Z. About this scroll.
That's a hard question.
In your opinion, Don, what are the three most important issues that New Zealanders face?
Yes, the
Dave,
three most,
you remember box 19?
the three most important questions voters face, I've answered that before, so I'll have to broaden it. Let me see. Poverty, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no gambling, no noise, things like that. No festivals. Well, yes, festivals, but not the loud music one, because it's dead. I believe in foundation for the dead. This is very important. Taking the HIP question, and I haven't put the paper in front of me. The most important issues. Well, you know, you're buying a lottery ticket. You're a loser because you can't win. They spend $1 million on advertising, and I could have deferred, but I didn't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bruce, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Number 28.
All right, letter S.
I've got it.
Okay. This is Bruce's. Bruce, how has New Zealand changed since you were a child? Has it changed for the better?
New Zealand has grown, obviously there's more people, population has increased quite a lot, but also we're a lot stronger and more independent in ourselves. And so the other thing just to do that, which is on the good side of things, that we've improved with better rugby players too. So we are getting better. But equally, on the other side, I think we've forgotten about family, we've forgotten about the values that built New Zealand, all the effort involved into that. And that's made us worse. That those values that we built off is what we need to keep growing. Importance of family, importance of community, of working together. And we need to develop that stronger and build a community on that. So in some areas we've got better, in some areas we've got worse. Thank you very much.
Merania, you had the button?
Sure. So since the beginning, I believe that this country has changed, and not for the better. I remember earlier days under the government of Labour with Norman Kirk. Those were the days when people's voices and we all shared the same equal living environment. So, Vision New Zealand have now introduced a family empowerment policy. We focus specifically on the family and strengthening those that are more vulnerable. We believe if we can strengthen the family, then we can strengthen your community. If we strengthen your community, then that must impact on this nation. We will do that through grants that we have available, grants that start at the age of born, when they're born. So when a child is born, there's a $5,000 grant.
We've just had a comment online saying can't be here,
Then
can you
they are
guys
given
hear?
a weekly benefit, which will also help toward building their wealth. We believe then that this
Can you
will
hear on
help
the
to
stream?
relieve the pressure
Volume
on
good.
young families today, so that parents don't have to worry about added costs of just living and getting by. Times have become too hard, and it's now we need a change. We need to take our country back. Vote vision and party vote freedom. Sure.
Alan, you have the next number.
Thank you. Go with number 2.
Number 2. Okay, number 2 is letter AA, and the question is, the statement, opposition do not win elections, governments lose them. Do you agree with this statement? AA.
I believe there's truth in that. This election, I think, is partly a confidence vote for or against incumbent parties. And they've demonstrated just a shameless enthusiasm to fail hard and learn
Graphics
nothing.
and what's on screen
And
are
partly
both
a test
different
about
to what
confidence among voters
was the question on
who
the
have a
card.
larger than usual choice of new parties, all of them competing for 5% of the party vote. I know a lot of people are concerned about wasting their votes for new parties for fear of letting the wrong incumbent party win.
No,
But more than any time in our country's history, the only wasted votes are votes for incumbent parties.
Thank you. And lucky last, Geoff.
17. Okay. Answer is 1. And the question is, how is your party going to stop the increasing decline in children's dental health?
Well, New Zealand first puts New Zealand first and New Zealanders first. So health is a very important part of New Zealanders' health. There is a problem with children having far more dental problems than they should. So we do know that sugar is a big part of that, and so we would encourage parents really to take more vigilance on their children's diet. To avoid that.
Thank you.
All right. Let's keep going. And Julianne, you have the list.
Oh my God.
14. Come on, father. And Julian's question is letter H.
Julian, do you believe that 16-year-olds should be able to vote?
Yes, categorically yes. The Supreme Court has found that it's discriminatory for 16 and 17-year-olds to not be able to vote, given that they do have responsibilities to pay tax if they're working, and they have a whole lot of other rights and responsibilities. I think that the decisions we make now will affect future generations most of all, and it's really important that young people are given the opportunity to have their say in our democracy.
Excellent. And John is using a second button.
Second button, there is a condition. Maybe some of them can get, 16-year-olds can get a vote. But the condition is if they have convictions, no vote. If they join up and donate to a cause like a party or me or something like that, yes, if they show, if their intelligence show a keen interest in democracy, yes, they can vote at 16, but not blanket. Only good people, no prisoners. And I think it's a question for the audience. But this is a controversial question, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of awful things at that age. They got not much brains in their boots. Thank you.
Any dimensions to this question? All right. So, Merania.
Thank you. I will choose number 15.
Is that a number 15? Have we had number 15? Or is that the one that we had before?
Possibly, actually.
Can I do my question?
No. So the other one.
Yeah. So that's keep going. So this is T. In Merania, in the 2019 budget, $1.9 billion was allocated to improving mental health services. To what extent do you consider that this has improved our mental health system and made a difference to our country's well-being?
Sure, thank you for that question. I'm not absolutely convinced that any of that money has made a difference to our health services, for one, and specifically for mental health. There are people suffering at the moment because of added pressures, the cost of living, through housing, and the economic crisis that combats all of it has created the additional stress on families. This stress is absolutely serious. And so what we've got to do now is come together with those health professionals. It could either be that they are under-resourced, underfunded, and that's where Vision want to put our efforts into making sure that the health system is meeting the minimum. It is no longer acceptable that an A&E people have to wait. We understand they are all under-resourced and mandated still to this day. So we will repeal the mandate and get this country back on track. Sure.
Okay, next up, John, your chance again.
I like 25% 1/4, please. I can hold and read it.
Okay, Don, your question is A, letter A, and the question is, will you commit to protecting spaces and services exclusively for what is described in this question as biological women?
I think I'll defer that.
Yeah, it's okay.
I can defer that on. Do I nominate somebody?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we choose Julianne.
Yeah, I think this question is bullshit, and I'm not going to answer it. Because I think that, actually, I'll say one other thing, which is trans people are people, human rights, trans rights are human rights, and I stand with them.
And Merania wants to do a button.
Thank you. I'd like to answer that question. I understand earlier this week there was a protest in Auckland when Posey Parker was here in the last round where she was victimised, I call it victimised. And I do appreciate it is about equal and accepting everybody for who they are. I understand recently that the lesbian community are absolutely up in arms and they expect that they then, ourselves as biological, myself as a biological woman, that our spaces should be protected. It's not good enough that I believe that my grandchild or my daughter can go into these spaces and not feel that they are safe. It is time to review what is happening, and we've got to make a choice, and we've got to come together, and we've got to make sure that everybody is safe. So that includes our other communities. It's not excluding anybody, sure.
The floor is yours.
Three.
Question. Fleur is letter B. What is your party's commitment to conservation for the next term?
Such a good question. One of the things that we're doing in conservation is a review of the Wildlife Act. And it's a 70-year-old piece of legislation that is not fit for purpose. We want to ensure that we talk to those who work in conservation and biodiversity and make sure that our legislation is actually fit for purpose and able to protect the many endangered species we have in New Zealand. So that's something that I think is going to be absolutely critical and will do a lot if we get it right for conservation. And key to getting it right is making sure that we hear the diversity of voices and that we engage constructively. And I have seen the terms of reference and the framework for that, and I think that it is well on its way to being able to do it.
And this something to.
Thank you. The largest threat to New Zealand's environment and biodiversity is animal exploitation, or what most people call animal agriculture, and unsustainable overfishing, or what most people just call fishing. The Animal Justice Party is committed to a just transition to give farmers the support and resources they need to transition to more sustainable, more ethical, and more profitable plant-based farming methods. Thank you.
Bruce.
Number 7.
Okay, Lisa, you. To what extent, Bruce, do you consider that public transport policies are incentivising or successfully encouraging the use of public transport while also reducing climate change?
I think we're poorly addressing the incentivisation of public transport. Public transport needs to be affordable, needs to be regular, needs to be reliable. To some degrees it's affordable, you can argue that, but whether it's particularly whether it's regular and reliable, those are questions that a lot of people face every day. Public transport is used primarily to a large extent by commuters going into work and town and back each day, and it's really good for that purpose. Used a little bit by shoppers, people getting around, so it's quiet during the middle of the day. But in terms of a response to climate change, it's a poor tool in that way because it's got a limited appeal as to how many people are going to use it. And so many of those main routes at morning and night, and use a little bit during the day.
Oh yeah, Julia has.
Kia ora. I just want to acknowledge that the current setup for public transport isn't good enough, and it's due to successive governments underinvesting in public transport and setting up a framework under which services were privately operated. The Green Party is absolutely committed to stepping up the investment in public transport and making public and active transport the priority for new investment in our cities, and regional rail the priority, along with publicly run bus services intercity as well. We have so many opportunities to have a transport system that works better for our climate, for people, whether they need to drive cars or not, but the current Labour government is not doing enough, and they just doubled the price of public transport for most people in New Zealand, which I think is an absolute step in the right direction, and only a vote for the Green Party is really going to get the sensible and future-focused public transport that we need.
Okay. Adam.
Thank you. Let's go with number 9.
9. You marking down the buttons or not?
This is letter I.
Then yeah.
Will you This is a hard question to ask, so I'll change the question because it's very slanted. Do you think the curriculum in primary schools is sexualised? And if you do, will you abolish it?
Yeah, so Animal Justice Party doesn't have a specific policy on this, but we're guided by the values of equality and nonviolence and such. And we're looking for evidence-based methodologies and these types of things. Yeah, I understand how the terminology of these questions can be divisive, and I think there is room to teach age-appropriate relationship material that's socially acceptable in sex ed classes. And I also think there's some components of these curriculums that needs to be exposed and discarded. Thank you.
Jim, this is letter. It's just got it doesn't look. Oh, it's an orange. Too much glory in the camera. Health workers who work for Te Whatu order are still required to be vaccinated against COVID. If elected, would you change the law to remove this mandate?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, well, that's good. Let's head back the other way. Adam.
Thank you.
Take number 5.
Okay, this is letter D. Our country was deeply affected by the Christchurch mosque massacre. What is your party's policy on gun control, and do you support the gun register that was established?
Again, our party, Animal Justice Party, doesn't have a specific policy on this at the moment. Any policy would be guided by our values of equality, compassion, and nonviolence, and the best evidence-based methodologies. Having said that, personally, I like guns. I think it's unfair to conflate gun violence with the horrible mosque killings. That was a horrible, horrible thing. And just to equate that with, in any way, with safe, responsible, law-abiding gun owners, I think is skewing. I think it's poisoning the well on this topic. Thank you.
Okay. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I just want to say that responsible gun owners have nothing to fear from a gun register, but it's not the only thing we must do to make sure that nothing like the Christchurch mosque massacre ever happens again in New Zealand. It's not enough to just have a gun register. We need to work on social cohesion. We need to look to end poverty, and we've got to make sure that our communities are strong and resilient and inclusive. And some of the questions in this debate go directly against those principles.
Okay. Bruce.
Number 6.
Okay, letter F. In your opinion, should councils be forced by the Ministry of Health to fluoridate their community's water supplies?
Effectively, no. There should be a local decision. Each region, each council, each city, whatever, should have its own choice as to whether they fluoridate or not. Shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all model that is put down from on high. We suffer a lot from one-size-fits-all, and it just doesn't work because different communities have different needs, and we have to address that as we give them the chance to do what they feel best for themselves. Thank you.
All right. And Fleur.
20, please.
Okay, this is letter G. Is government spending on cycling and cycleways a waste of money? Please explain your reasoning.
No. It is a good use of money because every person we have cycling is somebody that's not in a car. They're helping reduce emissions and they deserve to have safe infrastructure. Support government spending on cycling and cycling.
Now, Don.
I can't see the box. I think I have number 1119. Number 1119.
Number 11?
Yeah, it's 19. 111 is 99.
The Prime Minister said that no one was forced to get the COVID vaccine. Do you agree with that?
What's in the letter?
Oh, sorry, letter L.
Forced to get the COVID vaccine. Well, the thing is, that's a false question. It's a badly asked question because somebody was forced to have the vaccine. That's either a true or a false. What the Prime Minister says is not going to change true or false. So, of course, I got a vaccine. I got vaccinated on time and boosted everything. I don't even know if that's, we don't even know, nobody even knows if that's true that the Prime Minister said that because it's the media. The media don't know anything. The media don't listen to me. I go to Herald and I go to Regional News tomorrow. No, Tuesday. But the vaccine, well, my way is you should have it. It's old days now because everybody's going to get COVID in a short while. But okay, so well, we need some more questions, some more boxes to choose from.
Oh, you can't see them.
That's why, yeah.
Thank you, Merania.
Yes, Julie, I will take number 16, thank you.
Number 16 is letter C. What will your party do to make it easier? Will your party make it easier for asylum seekers to enter Aotearoa?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Vision New Zealand believes in a responsible approach to refugee resettlement. We believe the current number of 1,500 refugees per year is appropriate in a country as small as New Zealand that has an infrastructure that is already strained. So we want to make sure we have a duty to first of all look after our own and make sure that there are those that are already here that are taken care of. Sure.
Julianne.
Right, I think that should be where to go with Muthu, not comment Muthu.
I will be speaking to the person who printed them.
There we go. A broken chair. Right. Thank you.
You all right, Dave?
Yeah. No, I'm absolutely fine. You will speak of it. I can see that right. Sorry about that. Oh, here it is. It's still there. You have to fight another day.
And all caught on camera.
Over the past few years, New Zealand has suffered from many forms of division. How will your party reconnect people and heal the divide so we are a united country once again?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I would say in the last election, it seemed like New Zealanders were more united and agreed than they've ever been because more people voted for, one party than never voted for. So I think, I don't know about division. I think that we're facing some really challenging times with the climate crisis and starting to feel the limits of our natural environment. And several decades of neoliberalism has led to a horrific divide in inequality in wealth and income. And we haven't yet had a government that's had the courage to reverse the harms that were caused in the 1980s and 1990s. And so the Green Party's proposal to have a guaranteed minimum income funded by a wealth tax and ensuring that the wealthiest 1% corporates pay more than their fair share so that we can all benefit with better infrastructure, better public services, free dental for everyone. Lift people out of poverty with guaranteed income, and then we can take action on the climate crisis together.
Okay, then over to you, Jim.
Four. All right, this is question W. Rest homes are losing registered nurses, RNs, to Te Whatu order as they are unable to match, as the rest homes are unable to match the pay packages. Do you think that the pay packages for RNs or RNs, registered nurses, should be equitable across all sectors of healthcare?
Okay, well, the issue is deeper than this. In Wellington, it will cost $74,000 a year for a standard bed in a retirement home, which is $1,400 a week. Except we're not building standard bedrooms. Later this decade, there will be over 1 million New Zealanders over the age of 65. The biggest growth in numbers will be from those over 85, and those most likely to need access to high quality aged care. By 2040, there will be 233,000 people over the age of 85, which is triple the number today. So New Zealand First knows that it will need approximately 77,000 residential care beds to deal with those who cannot live safely in their homes, and we're on track to deliver just half of that. So how can we have more bedding? By 2027, there will be 1,200 in aged care in Wellington for 1,000 beds. That's way too much. So this is how we treat our most vulnerable. So at the New Zealand First Conference, we back agreements to make retirement dignified.
Geoff. Thank you. Number 23, please.
Last round.
And this is letter J. Property investors often outbid first home buyers at house auctions. How would you encourage these investors to switch to more productive investments?
Again, the Animal Justice Party doesn't have a specific policy on this at this time. We frame it through our values of quality, values including quality, compassion, and non-violence. And we look to the basis of where is the evidence on what works to get desired outcomes. That said, I can share my personal opinions, is that there's countless ways to employ carrots and sticks and incentives and disincentives. And the real questions are about what methods are effective and what methods produce the least harmful unintended consequences, and to what extent the government should be intervening in these markets to maintain a level playing field. So I'm not here to pretend I have an answer. I'm here to listen to constituents and achieve those goals and on the basis of evidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Green Party believes that housing is a human right, and it's the responsibility of our government as the representative of us as a society to ensure that everybody has the warm, dry, affordable, secure home. And we can do that through our housing policy. We have proposed a warm fitness on all rental properties, registering landlords and mandatory register of landlords and property managers, and a limit on the rate of increase of rents to at most 3% a year. Even if you change tenancies, that can be put up more than once a year. And if we do that and we massively increase the scale of public and community sector home building within the existing urban area where people want to live and have good options for transport, we can start to ensure that we have enough homes for people who want to rent, that are secure and affordable and healthy, and that there's more homes for first-time buyers.
Fleur.
It's a shame the National Party candidate isn't here, but I will nevertheless talk about their policy and risks to first-time buyers. The National Party wants to bring back interest deductibility equality. And what that would mean is that people who own more than one property, it's even more favourable in terms of a policy setting for them. That is not going to serve the interest of first home buyers. And it's one of the things I'm most worried about if we see a national government. That, alongside the introduction of no-clause evictions, which would cause social chaos, are among the many great risks of a national government. But it will certainly mean that New Zealanders skew even further in favour of property investors. What we're currently seeing is that first home buyers are increasing in the proportion of those buying property, and that's got to be a good thing, but there's obviously more to do.
Indeed. So Bruce.
Okay, number 12, John Russell.
This is letter N. Bruce, how are you going to address the cost of living crisis?
Personally, that is a little bit difficult on a big scale, but we have a little bit by Friday community meetings, so that helps. But really, the main issue is government spending. Over the last 6 years, government debt's gone from 60 billion to 155 billion. So that we've just spent and spent and spent, and not really on projects that benefit the country in terms of building infrastructure, building those things that we rely on, that also don't really result too much in inflation. We spend on willful things more so, and driven inflation through that. So until the spending comes back, we won't see any effect in cost of living changes, inflation changing. So we have to do those things first and be wise in our use of funds we have.
Only two.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, well,
And please speak to God at Chair Dave. I'd rather you move it forward to the conversation.
I've been in touch with the question askers union, and it's still fine to give me a tick. I should hold it properly, but okay.
I was hoping the John Muthu helmet.
Fine. It's a lovely word, it's haven't thrown anything yet. Okay. The future of local government report says a significant fund is also needed to support climate change adaptation activities. How is your party going to respond to this issue? And this is
Letter R.
Letter R. A significant fund is also needed to support climate change adaptation activities. How's your party going to respond to this issue?
Yeah, I agree. And it's a particularly important issue in the Rongotai Electorate, given that we are predominantly a coastal electorate.
Yes, that's correct.
The policy work has already been done, and I do want to pay tribute to James Shaw for the work of the National Adaptation Plan. It sets in place a framework by which we will transition to, we will make the necessary adaptation, and there's already been discussions in this electorate, in your Fiddle Bay community and in the Breaker Bay community, where as a community they are working out what mitigation they can take. But it's also much wider than that. We need to develop a framework that enables mandatory treatment to happen in a fair, equitable and just way that leaves nobody behind, and a policy framework and adaptation plan that is skewed towards making sure that those who are most vulnerable are looked after the most.
that's what we have something good.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question?
The future of local government report says a significant fund is also needed to support climate change adaptation activities. How is your party going to respond to this issue? It's also written here.
So, first of all, I can't believe, I'm shocked that a government report recommends significant government funding. Who would have thought? Seriously though, at the center of virtually all environmental problems, we find animal exploitation, or what most people call animal agriculture, and unsustainable overfishing, what most people just call fishing. In New Zealand, this is disproportionately large piece of the environmental problem pie, no matter how we slice it. Ministry for the Environment emissions inventories say that half of New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions are from animal agriculture, and only the Animal Justice Party is committed to a just transition to give farmers the support and resources they need to transition to a more ethical, more sustainable, and more profitable plant-based farming methods. And unfortunately, this is something the incumbent parties are reluctant to acknowledge and more reluctant to address.
Now we have Don.
I'll try the top question, Tacoma Far, which is not correct. They don't know how to count.
Tacoma Far.
Well, they don't know how to count, do they?
Tacoma Far, 24, and it's letter E. What is your party's position on 3 waters? Well, you're not a party, Don, so Don, what is your party's position on 3 waters reform? And do you have an alternative funding model?
3 waters reform. Well, I say greedy me lawless for cars. Climate change go back. 3 waters, that means I must wash my car. I must have a long shower. It means co-government, that's a meaningless. Co-government, it's not a plain talk, so I don't say these things. 3 waters, well, that's the different colours, red, white and blue or something. And water is scarce. Water comes down the river and you've got to articulate it. Well, that's going to cost. You've got to send it from the mountains to the bathroom. That's quite a huge cost in purifying the water, fluoridating. So this water is a bit of a problem, which everybody wants to talk about. So that's not a good question for me. The thing is, you want to wash your car on the lawn, and okay, well, I'm not a good answer either.
Good idea.
Sure, I'll take the Karuna one, please.
Tacoma water at 10. That is letter X. Merania, John Ken F. Kennedy quote said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Sure, love the question.
Right, I haven't finished. Do you agree with that quote?
I absolutely agree with that quote. And I am a living example, along with Freedom, New Zealand and Vision. That is the reason why we are standing. We are standing for a country that is in absolute chaos. We're standing for a country that is in crisis. We're standing for a country that needs better health, better housing, and attention to cost of living. If we're not doing our part, then no one else will. So I'm encouraging families, I'm encouraging those parents that want to see a change for the future, for our future generations to become active. Get involved. Actions speak louder than words. Party vote Freedom, vote Roa for Rongotai. Kia ora.
All right. Julian.
Else.
Tacoma Roa 22, and it's letter N. Julian, would your party advocate for introducing a sugar drinks tax to help combat obesity, dental decay, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic medical conditions?
When I was spokesperson for health in 2016, that was a position that the Green Party held, and I believe we're still open to it in our policy, but it's not our top priority. The top priority is providing free universal dental services to all New Zealanders, funded by wealth tax. But I do think that there's a strong case for a sugary drinks tax, because sugary drinks have virtually no nutritional value, and the revenue raised from that could be used to help support some dental services, but also the policy itself was shown when it was brought in the UK to change the drink offerings that were being put forward by supermarkets and other providers of beverages. So in a way, the policy isn't about punishing people for the choices they make. It's about making sure that the industry is providing more responsible choices for people.
Thank you. It looks like that leaves Geoff.
It's just the last one.
26.
Good. So this letter is K, and the question for you, Geoff, if you had been an elected MP at the time of the protests at Parliament regarding the mandates, would you have gone onto the grounds of Parliament to listen and acknowledge the concerns of the people?
Yes, I certainly would have. And of course, the Right Honourable Winston Peters was the only major party leader to do so, because they deserve to be heard. We may not agree with all their diverse views, but treating them the way that happened caused grievance, and on many parties do.
Okay, we've got through all the questions. Now we're going to have a brief intermission.
Yep.
And then we'll be back after about 10 minutes, is it?
Yeah, for hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, we'll be back after 10 minutes for hard-hitting questions. Thank you.
Leave the microphone on.
And now it is time for hard-hitting questions. Hard-hitting questions. This one, each candidate is invited to answer each of these questions. And so we will start off with Julianne. And the first question is, how have you helped in the past and how will you support the community in the future ensuring a National Heritage Park on former Defence and Corrections land on Merania Peninsula?
So I haven't had any involvement in this to date, and I think it's really important to me that we recognise where Mana Whenua and Tangata Whenua have a right to land and to use that land as they see fit. The history of our country is sadly one of colonisation where there was a lot of land theft and land taken, and the Green Party has a comprehensive policy for Hoki Whenua Maya, which shows how we can start to redress some of that. So I would really defer to my colleagues like Tim Capol, Nico Winera, people who have, Nico in particular has connections to the Tangata Whenua of this area, and I think we need to talk to them and be involved with them in whatever use is determined for the future of that site.
Melanie?
Sure. So previously, before coming to Wellington, I worked 19 years with Department of Conservation. My role there was supporting the Victoria Lakes Area Office as Program Manager support. So I worked very closely with our threats team, our biodiversity team, our communications, our Mana Whenua, and relationships team. So this is very close to my heart, and it's just up on the hill. Mount Crawford is just away from where we live. So during lockdown, my husband and my mokopuna and I were using this as our playground while we were in lockdown. So it's a beautiful site up there on Mount Crawford. And it's just really an encouragement to be able to work closely. I've done tree planting previously, so that would be something that would help to restore the land and bring that back to its former glory. It's all about making sure, again, that we're working closely with Mana Whenua. Sure.
Don?
Kia ora, Don from Independent. Talking about national heritage, there's a road through the forest up there. I've been on the 24 bus every month for fun, and it's very scenic. And the thing with that area, it's all about the movie and greedy me. Greedy me means everybody wants your car. There's too many people growing. There's too many houses, and there's no houses, and they want to build more houses. And so that's about it. So I don't know about the national heritage. That's a new one to me. So Thank you.
Fleur.
I support and have actively supported Merania aspirations for this area. Our government allocated $4 million for improving public access. It's a very important, culturally significant area of Wellington. And I know that many people in the Merania area and on the peninsula, and actually throughout the Wellington region, really treasure this particular part of Wellington. So I think the role of the local MP is to work constructively and respectfully with mana whenua and the community to make sure that mana whenua's aspirations for this area can be realised and that the public can share in the true beauty of this place.
Okay, Bruce.
So I agree with Fleur as well, the part. It is really about working with the local community, with the owners of the land, with the people living nearby, to put in place the best thing. The process has started, it also needs keeping along. It's been taking a long time, so yeah, it's just advocating for that local community, going out, talking to those groups, getting to know it, finding out what the hold-ups are, and pushing those through so some reserve can be set in place. Thank you.
And Animal Justice Party doesn't have a specific policy on this, again, but my own personal opinion is that so far as we can push towards that with respect to local residents, with respect to traditional land use, with respect to all the native animals that would enjoy the area, we support that. And my role, whether I'm an MP or not, my role would be listening to the stakeholders in that, listening to their needs and just helping advance that moving forward. Thank you.
New Zealand First has been highly supportive of retaining Watts Peninsula as open space, and credit where credit is due, Minister David Parker made the right call. Port Nicholson Block Settlement Trust wanted 800 apartments on top of Mount Crawford, despite the entire area being zoned open space for 30 years. We also need to praise former Mayor and New Zealand First Mayor candidate Andy Foster for holding the line on Shady Bay and Mount Crawford. Most of the 90 hectares of land has been promised since 2011 by government, city and regional councils to become a heritage, ecological and recreational park because of all the important park and military sites on the peninsula and its visual prominence. So yes, New Zealand First fully supports the community on Watts Peninsula.
Okay, and now the second part of the question. How have you helped in the past, and how will you help in the future to resolve eastern suburbs transport problems? And let's start off with Geoff.
Well, I personally have not helped, but New Zealand First does not believe in cycle as a solution or also fantastically priced light rail. Former Finance Minister Michael Cullen observing that light rail is an idea whose time has passed. We'd scrap, let's get Wellington not moving and turn it on its head so that it serves us rather than consultants feeding on dreams. Australia's light rail construction costs $125 million a kilometre. The 12-kilometre Sydney to southeast Fleur out to be $250 million a kilometre. So we are not in favour of that. So as a warning, the Auckland one was estimated at $168 million a kilometre, but that's now over $600 million.
So 99% of my local transportation is by foot and by bike. You know, whether or not that helps resolve anything probably depends on who we ask. Now, I'd like to see less reliance on cars, but I think we need more carrots to encourage active transport and public transport, not more sticks to punish people for driving their cars. Thank you.
As part of the community and business groups in community in particular, I've been on working groups and over many years about cycleways in particular, transport options around the community area anyway, eastern suburbs. I've submitted to the council, most of this is driven by council, submitted to the council on various occasions, and more recently actually gone around and encouraged by door knocking for people on proposed cycleway routes to submit to council to make their voices known, and continuing to do that sort of work. The current proposals that are being built are, in my opinion and most people's opinion, very poor design. Cycleways are good things to put in, but being put in the wrong places and with the designs that have flow-on effects to people and to go live in the property that are not beneficial to the community. Thanks.
There's obviously so much more to do to help with transport problems in the eastern suburbs. We have tried to do more when it comes to pedestrianisation and cycleways, making them more accessible. The crossing the common drive is important, somebody was killed there. But look, I absolutely accept that there's much more we need to do to ensure more reliable public transport. We need to encourage more active modes of transport and make sure that the infrastructure meets it. That means a second out Victoria Tunnel, but that's not all it means. I'm really interested in the on-demand trial that happens in Tawa and the possibilities of that for some aspects of the eastern suburbs, particularly on the hills where big buses struggle to travel.
Don here, eastern suburbs transport. The answer is 2 cars. I don't say 2, I mean there's too many. Petrol is finite. It will finish suddenly. Suddenly you're gone and then you'll be where to go. Inadequate public transport. Because the rich people require to drive for pleasure. They decide to go for a drive. I used to do that. Don is busing walk. Cars, what's this? The cars on the road is going to be 1 kilometre wide. There's going to be so many cars, the road is going to be 1 kilometre wide, and you'll die if you get to the other side because a bus will hit you. So you can see this happening in Newtown. Time is up, Don.
Yeah. So I'm an advocate for using public transport. It's our only means. We've only got one farming car. But in regards to the eastern suburbs transport problems, I'm an advocate to reduce how often we are using our car. And any future infrastructure or housing developments will only impact our electorate and our ratepayers. So I want to ensure that these costs are supported by a sound and viable long-term planning and that everybody has input into making those decisions.
So before I got to politics, I worked as a transportation planner, and it's very close to my heart. There's a huge opportunity in Wellington to enable people to move more freely without getting stuck in traffic congestion. To do that, we really have to push the dial on increasing the frequency and availability of public transport and making sure we have a joined-up network of safe lanes that people can use, bikes, e-scooters, or other micromobility, including mobility scooters. The council is starting to roll out that network, but they're nowhere near complete, and it's just a transitional temporary network. I see a huge opportunity for getting electric ferries up and running to the eastern suburbs within the next 3 years by redeveloping the Merania Roa and getting services back to Seatoon. I think it would be, if they're connected up well with electric bus or shuttle services around the peninsula, it could be a game changer. And I really think that the priority for big investment needs to be light rail, both in the south and eventually to the east.
Okay. Now we get to the time when we
hold it up closer.
And now we're getting to our private members' bills. If you're an MP, you can submit a private members' bill, which could well become law. So each candidate has 2 minutes to sort of introduce what they would sort of introduce first as a private members' bill, and we'll start again with Julia.
I actually have a members' bill in the ballot at the moment, which is to recognise the right to a healthy environment under the Bill of Rights. And that's something that has been talked about for quite a long time. It was I adopted it from my colleague Geoff, so I can't take full credit, but I've had a series of members' bills over the years, and at the moment that's the one in my name, so I thought I should put that forward. So.
Right, Merania?
Kia ora. For me, it is about focusing on how we can improve and how we can focus on making the family a stronger unit. And that would be where I would focus putting in the effort, the time, the funding, and be able to see absolute results that reduce crime, that help to address family breakdown, and be able to be a part of seeing the changes that happen so that our future generations have something better. It's no longer acceptable that we're in a society where we're still struggling, and that needs to come from the ground up. So that is vision, that is freedom, party vote, freedom New Zealand. Kia ora.
Okay. John, what private members bill would you introduce?
Private members bill, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'll do that. And the question was, year 2000, it was a while ago, year 2000, it was called Y2K, year 2000, K is 1,000. And this was 1999, the world was very anxious about planes in the air, were they going to come down? And all the computer programs were in danger. And the milk company didn't know what day the milk was. And
Since I split the graphic.
the formula, now, you've got a calendar, the Western calendar is called Gregorian, it's very complicated. 12 months, 4 weeks, 7 days, that's a start. Then January, February, March, you have to add 3 days for January, nothing for February, 3 days for March, and 2 days for April, and things like that. It goes all over the place. Then times 4 years, after 4 years, you have a leap day, that's an extra day. After 100 years, you take one off, and after 400 years, you add one off. Okay, the thing is, the formula is not good. It's all a mess. Now, obviously, this my calendar proposal has got 366 days, which is 12 by 6 by 5, plus 6. Okay, now what else? The formula, another formula, A equals pi x squared. You know the circle. Well, A equals pi x squared, this area for a covered circle on a sphere. I worked it out, it was a cover over. So that's a simple formula. See, like here, it's the same as E equals MC squared. Now what else? That's about it. So this is where my private members got it. We'll have to go to the whole world, but we're going to start it in Rongotai because of suffrage and things like that, and 8-hour day. The clock is also in chaos because you had 24 hours, AM, PM, anti-meridian. Time is up, dawn. Fleur.
Well, one of my favourite things to do as a trade union lawyer was to come up with ideas for members' bills and then charge MPs into adopting them. Awkwardly, despite the fact that there are many things that need reforming, when I was a city councillor, one of the councillors, Councillor Malcolm Sparrow, resigned partway during the term. And through that process, we uncovered the fact that city councillors cannot refuse to receive the remuneration from a city councillor who resigns during the term, but before there's time to do an election. And it needs to be shared out among the city councillors. Now, we all agreed to donate the money, so it wasn't an issue. But during that time, I tried to get this addressed, to a complaint to the Regulations Review Committee of Parliament. Unfortunately, that complaint was unsuccessful, but during some of the media that surrounded that complaint, a journalist asked me if I was ever in a position in Parliament to introduce a members' bill to address this, would I? And I confidently said yes. And obviously, I could be in a position to be a member of Parliament, and I want to be personally my word, so that would need to be.
We've heard throughout this campaign a lot about housing, especially, well, it's really an issue across the country, but also Rongotai, of course. And really, the issue behind housing, I think, is actually a supply issue. Is how do we build more houses, where do we build them, and how do we build them a bit more affordably? And those are quite big issues, and there's lots of drivers behind that. One thing that is happening is some builders, some companies are starting with prefab building, factory built houses, those sort of different ways, sort of modern methods of construction, different ways of building rather than just doing what's called stick building on site, where on site you control it by the weather and by the skills coming in the time. In a factory, you've got a lot more control over how you build things, when, and you can control your working full time, not being interrupted by weather. So, but one of the hassles is with that system is that if your factory is in a different council, different territorial authority to where your house has been built, your consenting process is a real mess. And current law doesn't allow that to work very easily at all. There are some ways to use a model of consents, but the simple way is just not available. So I'd like to bring in a bill where builders and designers, and actually plumbers and drainers as well, can self-certify their work. Obviously they have to be a reasonable standard of tradesmen to start with, but they would be able to self-certify, so that would speed up their process. Councils are often well behind in their times of inspecting work on site. Builders have to wait, but they speed up the process and to a little degree bring down the cost of building.
Yeah, so we all have concerns around issues of governance, economics, housing, infrastructure, environment, human rights, crimes, education, social issues. And the one thread that ties all these issues together, especially in New Zealand, is animal agriculture and animal exploitation. And this is why Animal Justice Party has a plan for a just transition to give farmers the support they need to transition more towards more sustainable, more ethical, and more profitable plant-based farming models.
When I was a teenager, finishing high school down in Timaru, I became interested in learning to speak Maori, the Maori language. And there was no way of doing it. I searched the local bookshops and eventually found one book that I bought to teach yourself. So I think it's very important that the Maori is actually taught by professional teachers, and I'd like to see this done in New Zealand. So my private member's bill would be that the government will provide the necessary funding to work towards the training of qualified teachers in the Maori language, the Maori, with the end view of making it available to all New Zealand high school students wishing to take it as a subject. It's unique to New Zealand and should not be allowed to fall into disuse. It should not, however, be compulsory, but be an optional subject for those interested in becoming proficient.
Fantastic. Now we come time to the candidates' closing statements, and we'll start on Geoff's end.
How many minutes?
One.
Just 1 minute. So Geoff, we can start.
Okay, so if you would like to give me your electorate vote, I thank you for your confidence. However, your party vote for New Zealand First is way more important. Even if you've never voted for New Zealand First before, please do so this time in order to save our precious and hard-won democracy.
If we look at how New Zealand has been divided and fractured over the last few years, more than any time in New Zealand's history, the only wasted vote is to vote for the incumbent parties. Any of the outsider parties is worth your vote, especially this election. Thank you.
Bruce.
Remember, you have 2 votes this time, one for your party vote, which I was encouraging you to go to any of the parties that are around, one for your electorate, and I asked you for that vote for Bruce or for Rongotai. Remember, vote for local. If you want a local representative talking about local issues, you can't support someone in the major party who will get gobbled up with party machine and the party issues that the party will vote for. And also, if you want to vote for change, you need to vote for someone who is not in Parliament at the moment, but for parties not in Parliament, so that brings in a fresh idea, a fresh perspective, and a fresh voice for Rongotai. Thank you.
Fleur.
Well, I just want to start by saying thanks for putting on this afternoon's debate in the ballot. In terms of the approach to the election, I am asking for support to be your local MP here in Rongotai, but also for your party vote for Labour, because Labour is the party that has a plan for dealing with that cost of living crisis. Chris Hipkins is a competent leader who has led New Zealand through some of its toughest times, including our response to COVID-19. He is somebody who works hard, he is somebody who understands how Parliament works and understands what true ethical leadership is. So I'm asking for your support to be the local MP and also for your party vote for New Zealand. Thanks so much.
Yes, as for ACT, I never know anybody. I don't even know who the ACT MP is for this electorate. It's a list. The list is not really good. Genter doesn't know gender pay ratio. They brought gender pay ratio 1.58 times. Broadcasting standards. They call it 37%. But see, obviously there's a confliction there. Is a male or female higher? That's an assumption. Is it percent more? Is it percent more and percent less? It's not the same figure. And plus a decimal. It should be a simple. Electorate office, never answer. No electorate office in Newtown, they never answer. What's this? Eagle, Genter, Fleur, Wednesday Council. I did 3 times public participation in the last couple of months. I did 3 times to the committee. Dawn. Well, to the venue.
There are many issues today in Rongotai, aside from the health, the cost of living, and of course, housing. Rongotai has 55% in rental properties, and so housing and home ownership is an option. I'm confident that Vision will address this, and with our family empowerment policy to break the poverty mentality and get our country back on the road. This is why Vision and myself as your Rongotai candidate can make a positive impact. And when you give us your party vote freedom and vote for Rongotai, vote Roa for Rongotai. Kia ora.
Rongotai can be a place where everyone has a warm, dry, affordable home, where we have frequent and affordable public transport, cleaner air, cleaner water, where we are taking action to work together to solve the climate crisis. But to do this, we need system change. We are not going to get it unless we fundamentally change the tax system to make sure the wealthiest 1% and the big corporates pay their fair share, that we are funding our local government and communities to be able to invest in infrastructure and services that they need to live good lives. I have a track record in Parliament, in government, of fighting for our communities. I will continue to do that and to deliver a life where we can live in harmony with nature and with each other. Vote Julianne Genter for Rongotai and party vote Green. The time is now.
Is camera on now on me? Oh, I was thinking I was getting on else, considering you're the host of the show for this one. No. I was going to say, which one on the control desk are we at the moment? Okay, maybe get the camera a bit more level up, but yeah, I'd like to thank the candidates for coming here tonight. Thank you for doing the tough thing about putting it on there. It's not easy standing for office, and thank you for being part of here. Can I also give a thanks to Alex for stepping in as one of the hosts? We're planning to sit there and do that at night. Nick, Caleb, and myself, who were in studio doing different roles, and also for Ray, who is being our remote editor today, and Jill, who is at the same time doing the training for it. While we're also here, we have a little bit of a surprise. We have the Labour Party President in the room, Jill Day. We'd like to thank Jill Day for being an audience member in there. It's very good to have the President of a political party by. I'm not sure if we'll get much more opportunities like that. So, coming up at 7 p.m, you'll see me dress up into something a bit more fancier, and I'll be ready for the next round of It's in the Ballot for the Wellington Central electorate. So, and for those audience members here who want to see round 2 for the Wellington Central candidates, we're right here at the Newtown Community Centre. I think that's all what I need to sit there and say, and I'll hand the show and the reins back to you guys.
Thank you for tuning in. Rongotai, you have plenty of options.